Hey, I'm Weekend Gabe, and you're checking out Weekend at Gabe's, and thanks for checking out this latest episode. While you're here, also follow us on these social medias at Weekend Gabe, at Weekend at Gabe's, and also at The Real Sam Crane. Thanks for checking us out.
Joining us now, she really needs no introduction. She's Chicago royalty. I'm proud to call her a friend of the show and also a friend of mine. She always comes through whenever I need her, and she's here with us tonight. The most prolific artist of our generation, Ang13.
What's up, y'all?
How's it going?
That air horn is ridiculous.
They should never gave y'all sound effects.
I love it. You guys, what's going on? How y'all feeling today?
Good so much. Good. Well, I'm so glad you could join us. The original Ill State Assassin. Been putting in work. Been putting in work for nearly almost 30 years of recording, rapping. You're an OG in this game. I call you Chicago's hip hop queen because you've been repping and holding down the city when it was the desert out there, but nobody wanted to sign anyone from Chicago. You were there holding it down. I want to start from the beginning because I've never really done this with you, Ange. Because I saw a recent interview you did a couple years ago, and it really expanded on a lot of your early beginnings in music. And so you were rapping at the age of 11, and you touched the stage before you were a teenager. Rapping, is that right?
That's correct.
You're credited with being the first Chicago female artist to rap in the city of Chicago.
I was. I didn't know about that until somebody was doing a book, because I didn't think of it that way. I'm thinking, I got on the stage out of like running from the house on punishment. I ran on my first time on a stage at a hip hop club. I was on punishment, and that's how I think of it. But when they were putting the book together, a guy named Tully said, I'm going back into the history of everything and how everything started. Do you know you were the first girl to rap on stage at a hip hop club in Chicago? And I was like, damn, I was. I didn't look like that. I thought it was my escape from punishment one day, and I ended up Mike. So yeah.
What bad thing did you do that you was on punishment in the first place?
Man, what didn't I do? My mother used to always say, "Your mouth gonna get you beat up." I'm like, what you mean? And I had a slick tongue even as a kid because I watched a lot of TV, and a lot of my comebacks were what I learned on TV. So what could possibly go wrong? And everything wrong. My timing was not as good as my mom wanted it to be. So I was on punishment one day. And I'm going to date myself. I'm going to date myself and not use actual dates, but you'll know time.
Let's go. All right.
So I'm on punishment one weekend, and my mom was getting ready to go to work, and she said, don't turn on the TV, don't answer the phone, don't open this door, clean up my house. So I was like, okay, Mom. As soon as she closed that door, I turned the TV on. Like, what's she going to tell me what to do? She ain't do what I want. So as I'm cleaning the house, because she told me to, as I'm cleaning the house, I'm like, man, it's about time for Soul Train. So I turned on Channel 9, and Soul Train wasn't on. It was this show called Graffiti Rock. Graffiti Rock, the first and what I understand, the only episode of this show came on. And I was like, what the fuck is this? I'm sorry, I cursed.
No, that's cool. You're good. You're good.
Okay,
this is Twitch. This is Twitch. Nobody regulates this other than the Twitch people.
What the fuck is this? And so on this show, what I was witnessing was everything that was going on in Rogers Park at the time. New graffiti artists, new DJs, new breakers, new MCs. Everything was new, totally new hip hop. And I'm watching it on TV. I'm like, oh my God, who can I call to tell that this is on? I couldn't call nobody. It was Saturday. Everybody was outside. So I was like, man, I'm like, oh my God, I was enthralled. It was a whole different world for me. And I was in that world. And then these rappers got on, and I was like, entertainment. And they sucked. I was like,
oh my God.
I was like, oh my God. But I was still so just caught up in the show. And I was just happy. I was telling my sister when she came home, I was like, it was a show that came on TV. She's like, you on punishment. Don't talk to me. It was crazy in my house. Punishment means like you were in jail. So you were
right.
So the following weekend, I'm on punishment again. So my mother's like, don't turn on my TV, clean my house, don't answer the phone. I'm like, okay, same as last week. So as soon as she left, I turned the TV on again as I'm cleaning her house because she told me to. I was like, yeah, okay, let me see if that show is on again. So the show wasn't on, it was Soul Train. I was like, it's not even seeming fresh no more. So let me go ahead. So I said, and I'm finna date myself, let me turn on American Bandstand. Oh! Look, you probably only know what American Bandstand was.
Right over my head. I got nothing.
He missed it.
Dick Clark, it was the white version of Soul Train. It was
Right.
American Bandstand. So I
it was like SNL Mad TV. It's like
yeah, but they've been in it for years, and these same rappers was on there, and I'm like, who is these dudes? Who keeps booking these dudes? And I said out loud, man, I know I can. And I ran to my room, got a pen and a piece of paper, and I wrote my first rhyme. What I was going to say is, I know I can do better than that. Yeah. I knew at 11 years old that I could do better than these fools that was on TV. Guess who they were?
Who?
Run DMC.
Fucking hell.
You thought you were better than DMC.
And so from there, the following weekend, I'm still on punishment. I stayed on punishment. But I knew that there was going to be a party at this place called Steps, and it was going to be a rap battle between one of the best rappers in our neighborhood and this guy that came from New York. His name was Akbar, but we called him Stain back in the day. He was a graffiti writer also, and they called him Stain. And I was like, man, I'm going to go see this battle. It's just going to be extraordinary. But I'm 11. This was a teenage party. Yeah. So I'm like, how am I going to get in this party? Everybody is there. I know everybody is there. So I get to the door and I talked my way in. And Steps had these long steps that led up to the party. So I get to the top of the stairs. I can't believe I didn't talk to an adult into let me into a teen party. I'm like, I get to the top of the stairs. I jump to the landing and I open the door. And I'm telling you, know how something is black and white and then all of a sudden it's a blast of color? When I opened that door, it was a blast of color. There were graffiti writers here, rappers here, DJs here, breakers here. I mean, it was every element of hip hop in my face, blasting me in the face. And I was almost hyperventilating. I was so happy. I'm seeing my friends. They was like, dang, how'd you break out? I'm like, don't worry about it. Man. And I was just, y'all, I felt home. I felt like I was home. So this MC battle they were having, it was going on for what I thought was hours. They were going back and forth, and everybody's sweating and hot. The crowd was just going to decide who the winner was, but we couldn't decide. So they had a little intermission. And I was over by my friends. I'm like, I'm finna get on the mic. They was like, no, you ain't. You could have just said, I triple dog dare you. I was ready to get on the mic. So I went over to the DJ booth. And in the DJ booth was DJ Peely Fresh. Rest in peace. He just passed away. Peely Fresh. I walk into the doorway and I stand there and look for a minute. So he's DJing. He looks over. He sees me. He's like, what's up? I was like, my 11-year-old self. I was like, since y'all having an intermission, you think I can rap? He was like, no, now get the fuck out of here. And I looked at him like, this is not how you make friends. I was so thrown back that he was like, now get the fuck out of here. I was like, God damn. And so here comes Akbar. He's standing really tall behind me. They're both like 16 at this time, and I'm 11. And so Akbar comes by. He's like, "What's going on here? What's the purpose?" And the New York accent. So I'm already in love. I'm like, So he's like, "What's going on here?" I was like, "I was trying to get on the mic, but your boy won't let me do it." And he stared at me for about 20 seconds. He stared at me and said, "Hey, man, just go ahead and let it get on the mic. We still trying to decide in this battle." And he was like, all right. So he flipped this record over and he started cutting. And he said, when I drop this record, you better rap. I said, when you drop that beat, you better duck. He was like, oh, he started cutting harder. I'm gonna fuck this little girl. I don't know who she, I know he had all this going through his head.
Oh
And
my
when
God.
he dropped the record, it was Run DMC live at the Funhouse. Here we go. Now, if you don't know this song, Here We Go live at the Funhouse with Run DMC was one of the best songs they ever did. But I didn't know it until he dropped the record. And I tell you guys, I remember the song, the verse that I did like it was yesterday. So he was, I was like, one Tweedledee. And everybody in the party just stopped. And when I said two Tweedledum, they turned around, looked, and saw it was me. And when I said, get ready, homeboys, cause here I come, everybody started running to the booth. The DJ booth was a glass DJ booth. They jumped on the DJ booth and started banging the glass. Oh, oh, oh. I'm killing at this point. I can do the rap right now. One Tweedledee, two Tweedledum. Get ready, homeboys, cause here I come with the beat that's unique. The sound that is ice, guaranteed to rock the party and still a night. I throw a beat in your face, you might try to block, but it's chilling, only willing, dominating the lock. They was losing their mind like, oh my God! I can't believe it. Y'all, I kept rapping and they got louder and louder. I just couldn't understand where all this was coming from. I was so into it. I even started beatboxing. I was killing it. I was going in because I'm like, man, this is it was incredible. And then PD looked at me and was like, all right, yeah. Man, he gave me a pound. And I'm getting all these pats on the back. Dad, that was cold. That was cold. So this battle never continued because my 11-year-old got up there and blew up the stage.
You shut it down? Wow, that's amazing.
That shit down. So as the party ended, you know those long steps I was telling you to go to get up to steps? I was going down the stairs and I'm getting all the pats on the back. You was fresh, you was dope, you was fresh, you was dope. I get down to the bottom of the stairs and guess who's there?
Your mama.
That's right, because I was on punishment. Out the house. I got to the crib, I got beat beyond repair, and I didn't feel any licks from the belt because of that much love that I got up there when I got on stage. And I've been chasing that love ever since.
Wow. That is top 10 most incredible stories I think we've heard on this show all time.
Yeah.
Wow. I think it rolls nicely into explaining who you are and what you do, because our interns pointed it out in the pre-production meeting that there's so much to Ang13 because it starts there on stage that night, right? But you go from MC to DJ to breaker to graffiti artist. You are hip hop. I like when Gabe says you the queen of hip hop, and people think that means queen of rapping. No, you are the queen of this soul of hip hop that was created, and from there you've created just this plenty of records. The most recent on streaming is The Perfect Storm, but we've also got 1-2-3 and 3-2-1 most recently. And everything is so hip hop, but so different too. How do you reflect on being a jack of all trades in this game and what that's opened up to you that maybe others don't see?
Well, I would really say a lot of everything was due to my mother. She put conditions on every single thing I did. If my grades wasn't up, I couldn't go rap. So my grades were down for a minute, so I started doing graffiti. You wouldn't finna get me away from anything hip hop. And what people don't really understand as well is I started off as a breaker.
Right.
I was pop locking my ass off and doing head spins and damn near breaking my neck and breaking all types of furniture in my grandmother's house. And then one day I woke up and I needed a bra. So everything was lopsided. So I couldn't really break no more. So I just couldn't.
The struggle is real. The struggle is
Yes,
real.
yes. I was developing much faster than a whole lot of the girls at that time. But yeah, I had to stop breaking because everything it just didn't work anymore. It just didn't. But when I got older, everything caught up. So I could still get out when it's time to get out. And when I got to about 15 years old, my mother was going through a lot of drug usage, a lot. Where I came home one day and she was like, "You got to leave." I'm like, "Leave for what?" And she gave me a terrible excuse as to why I had to leave. So I ended up leaving my mom's house, living in my high school, and getting caught by the gym teacher that I was living in the school, and got declared a independent student because my mom didn't want me back. Even after they talked to her, she didn't want me back at home. So I had to work and somehow still do graffiti, and somehow still be an MC, and somehow still pay rent. And then all of a sudden I had custody of my nephew. And it was just, and I still had to somehow be in hip hop, but also be an adult. So everything that came along with everything in my life, it had to do with my family and this culture. And I think this culture really, really helped me to become the person that I am, because it was my release. Because a lot of times I just wanted to scream, like, why is this happening? Why do I have to go through so much of everything when everybody else's life was so easy? When I found out everybody else's life wasn't as easy, but mine wasn't as like everybody else's. But if it wasn't for hip hop, I swear I don't think I would have made it through. I don't. Me and my sister were allotted the same everything, and her a whole lot more than I. But our lives are totally different. Totally different. And I really think that hip hop saved me. It really did, because it gave me a way out every time I needed to run.
Yeah. That's a great segue, and because I wanted to follow up on this as well. Another interview you did, you talked about when you were a graffiti artist, there was an incident that had happened that kind of changed your perspective. And in the interview, you were kind of vague. You didn't get into too much of the details, but something to do with murder, which adds a lot of questions behind something that you could have been involved with, that you somehow avoided and kind of steered you into a different direction.
Oh, you mean when we were robbing people on the trains?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you a little bit more detail on that. In high school, with being a vandal, as much as we would be called today, we started taking part in doing mugging. We were mugging people on the train. Like,
wow.
It was it was the time. And as we were bombing the trains inside and outside, we would wait on the platform, and whoever was the last person on the platform, that's who got it, because nobody's paying attention to you. You're not looking around. Nobody's going to see what's about to happen, and you're not going to expect it. So they would use me as bait. Go ask him what time it is. And as I would ask somebody what time it is, and they're looking down, the people I'm with are coming behind them, and they're putting them in choke holds and going through their pockets and then throwing them down the stairs. It got crazy wild. And after enough of that, there was one time that we were doing it, and they were beating this guy so bad that when I looked at him, I saw myself, and I was like, oh my God, I'm out of here. That's the end of this. I can't do any of this. And I left the train. I left the line because it got so violent. And I'm like, this isn't me. This isn't how did I get into this situation where I'm helping people rob other people? And we were still kids at this time. It was nuts. I felt that I couldn't go any further with that. I really couldn't. And I'm glad I didn't, because I was getting close to where I was going to be 18. And at that time, they turned doing graffiti into a felony. And I was like, oh, I can't go to jail. I'm too fine. Nope. Can't do it. I cannot. And I got with, as you know, as I left doing graffiti, I was still associated with a lot of graffiti artists that were doing music. And I got with a group of guys that one of the guys I was dating didn't even think that he was an adult when I was dating him in high school. I never thought about that. And nobody ever said anything. It was weird back then. But he was a part of a group of people on the South Side that were Shy Rock members. And with Shy Rock, there were all these other smaller groups. And the guys that we ran with was Riot One, Kingdom Rock, Chainsaw, Prodigy, EQ. We were all friends. And for some reason, they didn't know I rapped until like my senior year of high school. I won the talent show for it. I did it rapping. And they were so like impressed with the way I was getting down. It was like, man, since we all do something in hip hop, we need to think of a name of a group. And they will argue with me to this day. To this day, the person who came up with the name Ill State was me. Nah, it wasn't you. It wasn't. Yes, it was me. It was me. I remember sitting on my boyfriend's bed. We're all in his little bitty room. He got turntables and records and pictures all over the wall for people who were rapping at the time or just in hip hop at the time. And I thought of the name, and I was like, well, we all from Illinois. Why don't we just call ourselves Ill States? And then they stopped. And then Bobby said, but we got to be hard. So let's be the Assassins. I said, Ill State Assassins. And it was like, okay, cool. That's going to be the name of the group. And that was like the first crew that I was actually with being an MC. And I think that molded me as well to be, that molded me to be my own MC. Because in that group, the whole monolithic thought processes they were going through, you got to be hard, you got to wear dark clothes, you got to rap about this, you got to do that. They would just it was too many rules, just way too many rules for me to be there. And so when I branched off from there, I had already started making a name for myself. So I'm getting performances and shows everywhere to perform, rap, record. And it just started seeming like this is going to be my life. This whole thing was second nature to me. It was everything to me. And it was so available that I took to it like a fish to water. And it just seemed like this was about to be my entire life, this whole rap thing. And then when we started going for this whole rap thing, I mean, really taking it to where we got into management, we going to the new music seminar performing, and what threw it off for me wanting to be in the mainstream of hip hop, well, the rap game, is our very first meeting with the label.
Like, can you say the label? Because I know where you're going with this, and I was going to ask.
Can I say
enough time has passed. I think it's okay to throw them out
there. If I'm not mistaken, it was Warner Brothers. I think it was Warner Brothers. They were like, we like you, but there's a few things we want to adjust. I was like, adjust? It's like, yeah, what do you think of the name Ang? I say, well, who the hell is that? They would say, it'd be you. I'm like, why Ang? Well, they wanted me to change my name to Ang because at the time, Warren G was their shit. And what I was noticing, they were coupling the female version of on every male rapper. Like the Brat was the female version of Snoop.
Right.
The Boss was the female version of Ice Cube, and they wanted me to be the female version of Warren G. And I'm like, if I say yes to this, then I can't say no to anything else. So I declined. I was like, nah, it's not gonna work for me. I can't. I felt like I was gonna be losing so much right away.
Yeah.
I didn't even know who I was, and they wanted to change who they wanted me to be, and I was like, nah.
Yeah.
And that started. It was happening over and over again. They wanted to change something about me. I'm like, why would you want to change something that's so damn perfect? I don't know what your problem is. How could you? The gall, the nerve. And it's a good thing I loved hip hop enough, because that can be very discouraging. It really can. And imagine if I did sign to a label back in the day. You know how many artists were signed to these labels? And I say, you know how many people got loans from these record companies that are not rapping right now, that still owe that money, that are still contractually bound because these companies sold their companies and their contracts to other people, and they still held them to the contract. I would be pissed off. I would be so taken aback by even the hip hop culture because of that particular instance. I look back at like the Source magazine, you see it was 1,000 rappers back then.
Yeah.
And now, where are they? They're contractually bound, caught up, or they're just not even a part of the scene at all. And that's one thing I didn't want to be, away from something that I grew up in. I didn't want to be bitter at something that I loved. I didn't want somebody else to change me into what they thought I should be, only for them to possibly be fired from that particular position and wouldn't care about me afterwards. So I stay an independent artist, and I love it. I love it.
You got it. Go ahead, Sam. You got one.
I got one last question. I want to talk about the album. 321 is out now. On the opening record of that album, you rap about Chicago as home of the haters. This is a concept that we have discussed with many people on this show. I know it was true at a time, but we've started to see Chicago warm up a little bit. Chicago supports a little bit. So I'm wondering, do you still feel like that holds up? Chicago is the home of the haters?
I think it holds up to a certain degree. I think we are still battling to be the first at something. Every last one of us wants to be the first at something. And let me tell you, being the first is not the greatest thing to be. It really is not. I really think people don't understand about being the first, because a lot of times you're the first at nothing. We are more of a, as big as this city is, it's a small city. It's a small circle of people, and we know each other. We know the struggle of what it takes to get from point A to point B. And a lot of that hate has stopped because we've realized that we're on the exact same path, doing the exact same thing. And if I get there before you get there, I'm going to come get you. It's finally got to that point that we are pulling each other through, because it was not like that at all when I first started. It was constant competition. It really, really was. And that's that is in every element. I've seen DJs be cutthroats to each other back in the day. Now DJs are more they're more united. When they can't do something, they'll pass it on to somebody else who can. With the graffiti writers, I'm seeing that as well. I mean, we had crews back in the day as graffiti writers, but because we've gotten older and we know how this game works, we are more supportive of each other. The support level has gotten a lot stronger in Chicago, and I'm really proud of that. And I hope that I was able to be an example as to why we need support with each other, because it's just not easy, but it's ours. And before we can let somebody come and snatch it away and reprogram it and throw it away, we really need to capitalize off of our own creations. And you can't do it alone. It's a group effort.
I love that answer. That's fantastic.
All right, I want to end on a positive note of not hating but love. All right, so 6 years ago, actually, 6 years and probably about 2 months ago, you were a victim of a carjacking, and the Chicago hip hop community came together and rallied to try to replace your vehicle and met your GoFundMe goal, and then also held an event over at the Subterranean. And reflecting on that, like, because everyone loves you, Ange. I don't know if you know this or not, but like, was that like sort of a restoring feeling about your love for the community and getting that back? Like, what do you remember most about sort of that moment? Because that was probably your lowest. It was right around Christmas. You said your gifts, your shoes, everything was in your car, was taken, and you couldn't even call for help. So to get that feeling and that love from the community that you've been serving, like how was that for you?
Man, and you hit it right on the head. It was my lowest moment because I hadn't been doing a lot of music back then. I gave myself a break, but I was still in the culture. So, and I felt myself like slipping away from hip hop for a minute. And when my car got stolen, they also stole my phone. So you're right, I couldn't even call for help. They stole everything. And when I finally made it home, I was with Freddie, Encyclopedia Brown, and he was like, why don't you, because I was like, I got to get another car because I had to work. And he was like, why don't you do a GoFundMe? I said, you know who probably put on for that GoFundMe? You and you only. And he was like, nah, you don't understand how people feel about you out here. So I put up the GoFundMe, and he arranged to have 3 nights of events to help raise money for my car. And when I put the GoFundMe up, the GoFundMe in 5 days got me a down payment on the car, and the rest of it got all the taxes and everything that I was trying to replace, all the shoes, all the notebooks, all the Christmas gifts. They hooked it up, and I've never felt that much love.
Right.
Other than the first time I rapped. So I was like, man, so that love that I have been chasing chased me down.
Wow.
And I would never leave this community. It may seem like they're not there, but damn, they were there. They were front and center like a chicken dinner, and I'll never let them down. Never. If I see somebody on the street that I know and they're walking, I'm pulling the car over that the community bought for me. Hey, you need a ride? Let's go. That it's been that way for years now. I still have that car. I made sure I kept up with that car. I paid it off. I make sure that all the work that needs to be done in that car gets done because the community bought me a car.
Right.
I want to be able to still share that vehicle with everybody who put on. And even if it didn't put on, I know that I got love in this area of my life, and it chased me down as much as I chased it.
Man, that's a fantastic way to end tonight. Ange, thank you so much. We got like 3 questions in, and you just gave us the best stories tonight. So we are so thankful and appreciative. The new record 321 is out on Ang13's Bandcamp. Go out there and support it, put it in your life, and also pay for it.
That's the key.
And enjoy the rest of your evening. I hope to hear from you soon.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you for having me. And if you ever need me, I'm funny sounding like a chicken dinner too. Oh,
you already know. Thank you so much.
Ang13 here on Weekend at Gabe's. Woo-wee. Oh man, like you said, best story. I'm not gonna say the top 10 best story ever.
I love that interview, and I love this when it happens in just conversations with my friends all the time. But when you start with something like the story of the first rap, and then at the end, it comes all the way back in this other form.
Great.
It's beautiful. Perfect? And I mean, reflecting on the Chicago home of the haters, and just seeing a community pull together like that really warms your heart. And it's only a place like Chicago could put on for somebody like Ang13 like that. So wow, what a heartwarming story. What a great way to end the night.
It was absolutely perfect, man. I'm so glad. I'm so happy for her. She's in a really positive space. So
Hell yeah.
all good.
Hey, I'm Weekend Gabe. Thanks for checking out this latest episode of Weekend at Gabe's. Click on any of the links swirling around my head and also hit the subscribe button while you're here. Thanks for checking out us here on YouTube.